All right, I'm back with Dusty Dust's ongoing coverage of the ESL Impact Dallas Finals. I'm here with Olga, coming off of a tough opening loss against NAVI Javelins in their opening series. So I want to ask you first. We look at that match, and we sort of saw a lack of a lack on the second half on Vertigo. Can you sort of walk us through what went wrong in that the opening match against Javelins?
I guess to talk about the second half, we must talk about the first because we quite was doing great, in the beginning of the half. But after we lost some after plans, we never lost it. We kind of lose our game, how the right way to play, and they just could make round after round. We need to equal, and then we just could have a half like with 5 rounds SCT. So because of that, we go to the second half, already like with a good difference in the score, could not win the pistol, so everything become like really tough to come back this match.
And so looking sort of at the big picture of your recent addition to HSG FI, I wanted to ask you, when you were with FURIA Female back in Brazil, you were one of the most dominant players, and FURIA FI was one of the most dominant teams, winning almost every single domestic cup. So what prompted you to make the sort of titanic move of leaving the Brazilian scene to go join the Asian scene?
The biggest move. When I joined FURIA, something similar happens with this team. The first weeks, I needed to fit in how the team works, and just a bit different what happened here because of the tournaments coming up really fast. They did everything in HSG, did everything to make me feel comfortable and not try to change a lot my game style, So I guess this kind of we needed to meet the halfway. They helped me to feel comfortable, and I try to feed in their own style. So I guess that was the biggest move,
And I wanted to ask you too, since the ESL Impact scene has been formed, it seems like this is the first sort of almost titanic poaching story of a top player from one team being headhunted by another organization. How does it sort of feel to be like the first player in the new Impact scene who's been headhunted like that?
I didn't get it, sorry.
Yeah, no worries. So, you were the second player. You were the second best player of 2022, and then you go on to join HSG FI. We see headhunting happen all the time in the the regular ESL circuit, but you're the first player who's been pulled out, who's been headhunted to be like a top player and join another team. How does that feel for you to sort of have that sort of prestigious of being the first player who is headhunted in this new game, this new scene?
I feel great, and it's kind of adventure, being to a different region. But when I compare to their region with my region, it's not so much difference because we have kind of some difficulties, against others region like Europe, principally against Europe. So it's kind of the same thing, the practice time. The way we do the things, the teams we play against, it's really hard to have teams the same level as European Tier 2, Tier 3, even Tier 3 teams, So I could see this difference when we went to Sweden boot camp before the Sweden Impact, and I could see the difference, huge difference, Mm-hmm. So I was not expecting be so many different about the level of the regions,
And with your move to HSG FI, you're communicating in English for your first time on a completely new language, as are a lot of the players on HSG FI, because a lot of them either speak Malaysian or they speak Chinese. With that, how are the comms in the team? Is communication going well in the lineup?
Yeah, the first week were a bit hard to me, but I could understand. But to speak in tough moments, like rush moments, it was a bit hard. But after the first 2 weeks, I could fit well, because our language, our comms is basically in English. We just have some keywords in Chinese, and for example, when the Malay players are playing together, they speak Malay. When the Chinese players are playing together, they speak in Chinese. But when we talk to whole team, it's just in English.
And with that too, with it being a largely a Malaysian team, correct me if I'm wrong, but the team's based in Malaysia, right? And with that, how much time do you spend in Malaysia with the rest of the team, or do you spend most of your time in Brazil, working sort of remotely?
After my change,
After joining HSGP, yeah. Do you spend most of your time in Malaysia with the squad, or do you spend more time in Brazil?
Kind of half in the both regions, because when I was about to change to move there, we got the news we would have a spot to Dallas, and I need to move a bit faster. So I moved, spent like 10 days there, play the tournament, and I need to come back to Brazil to renew my visa. And then I spent like 1 month in Brazil. So this time I could not play as a team, just watch and follow and just watch the game, the screen, the prac. And then I come back to Malaysia to prac for more like 1 week. So we didn't have much time playing as a team, you know.
And so, so we're heading into the player break, and we're heading into the launch of CS2. I was wondering, you were the second top player in HLTV's, Impact Player of the Year. Do you think you have what it takes after the player break to sort of go for that #1 spot and de-seat Anna?
I didn't get it, sorry.
So you were the second best player of the year on the HLTV ranking for the Impact scene. Now that you're joining this new team, HSGP, do you think you have what it takes to sort of dethrone Anna and be ranked the best women's player in 2023?
Like willingness to defeat Anna as this player. Sure, it's never gonna change. I always gonna want to be the best player. There's nothing changing.
And last question: now that you're heading into the lower bracket, what are your sort of goal? What are you going to prep? What are you going to prep for your next match? Like, what's the focus to help you guys continue your tournament run? The #1 thing you're going to work on.
Which team you think you're gonna?
#1 thing like you're going to work on. You're going to prep before your match.
First, I guess we're gonna review this vertigo map, because I believe the both team gonna let it open, you know, and so we can play in a BO3 this map. And after this, we're gonna focus in their pick also. We're gonna study what they. I already know. I studied them. They are a Brazilian team, so I have a lot of information on what how they play, even as a team, even individually saying. And we're just gonna talk and see. We need just to wait what team we're gonna face before do everything.
All right, awesome. Thank you so much for your time. Enjoy the rest of your event.